There is a quiet rebellion happening inside the minds of the most grounded people you know. It is not a fight against others, but a profound withdrawal from a universal chase. Most of us spend our lives running after validation, status, and the next reward, convinced these things will finally bring us peace. But that chase is a trap, an exhausting cycle that never truly ends. Today, we will uncover the 25 Stoic attitudes that signal a different way to live, one defined not by pursuit, but by a profound inner peace and self-possession. By the end of this, you will have a complete blueprint for building a life immune to the anxiety of chasing. How many of these quiet signals of contentment do you already recognize in your own life? The first signal is a quiet revolution in how we set our goals. Most people chase after very specific targets, a promotion, a certain salary, a particular kind of house. They believe happiness lies on the other side of that exact achievement. But what happens when the target moves or you miss by an inch? The entire structure of your well-being collapses. Stoicism introduces a radically different approach. It asks you to embrace amorphous goals, focusing not on the rigid outcome, but on the quality of your own intention and the integrity of your effort. This is the practical application of the dichotomy of control, one of the most foundational Stoic principles. You see, the only things truly under your command are your own judgments, your impulses, your desires and aversions. Everything else, from the weather to the stock market to your boss's opinion of you, lies outside that inner citadel. When you tie your happiness to an external prize, you hand over the keys to your peace of mind. The Stoic, therefore, does not chase the specific outcome. They chase the virtue they can express in the pursuit. Your goal is not to win the race, but to run with all the courage and discipline you possess. It is not to receive the praise, but to do the work with excellence and honesty. This shift is incredibly liberating. You are no longer a slave to a result you cannot fully control. A project might fail despite your best efforts, but your best efforts remain entirely yours, and they are where your worth is found. This mindset cultivates a flexible resilience. When one path is blocked, you are not devastated. Your goal was not the path itself, but the character you built while walking it. You can adapt, you can pivot, you can find a new direction without the crushing weight of having failed. The anxiety of missing the mark simply dissolves, because the only mark that ever truly mattered was the one you set for your own soul. This freedom from fixed outcomes naturally leads to a second, even more profound shift in perspective. You begin to find a deep and lasting contentment in the simple idea of enough. The desperate, gnawing hunger for more wealth, more possessions, or a higher social standing simply loses its grip on you. This is not a philosophy of deprivation, but one of profound recognition. The Stoics, like Seneca and Epictetus, argued that we are already surrounded by abundance if only we would open our eyes to it. Seneca wrote that poverty is not having too little but always wanting more. He saw the endless chase for the next thing as a form of self-imposed slavery, a chain we forge link by link with every new desire. Epictetus, born into slavery himself, carried this even further. He taught that wealth and status are not good in themselves and poverty is not an evil. What matters is how we use what we have, and more importantly, our judgment about what we truly need. When you constantly believe you need more to be happy, you hand over your tranquility to every advertisement, every envious glance, every fluctuating number in your bank account. Your peace becomes a hostage to external circumstances, but when you sit down and truly take stock, you start to see the incredible fortune you already possess. The roof over your head is enough, the food on your table is enough, the simple capacity to breathe, to think, to connect with another person, these are monumental gifts. This realization is like a key turning in a lock. The frantic energy you once spent chasing the next upgrade is suddenly freed. That energy can now be redirected inward toward building your character, strengthening your relationships, or contributing to your community. You are no longer a beggar at the banquet of life, always looking at the next table, but a grateful guest fully savoring the meal before you. The chase for more is a race with no finish line, guaranteeing only exhaustion. Finding your enough is like arriving at a quiet, comfortable inn after a long journey. You can finally rest, not because you have everything, but because you desire nothing more. This profound sense of enough rewires your relationship with the applause of the world. There is a third signal, a quiet declaration of independence from the need for external validation. The Stoics labeled both praise and blame as indifference. This does not mean they are meaningless, but that they hold no inherent power to define your worth or alter your path. Think of them like the weather. A sunny day of praise is pleasant, but it does not make you a better person. A storm of criticism is uncomfortable, but it cannot erode your character unless you grant it permission. Your self-worth is not a prize to be won in the court of public opinion. It is a fortress you build brick by brick through your own virtuous actions. When you detach from the chase for approval, you stop handing strangers the blueprint to your inner peace. The desire for fame becomes particularly trivial under this lens. The most celebrated person in the world is still just one person, subject to the same fundamental human experiences as everyone else. Their fame does not shield them from disappointment, loss, or the quiet search for meaning. Chasing that fleeting recognition is like building your home on a stage that is constantly being dismantled and rebuilt somewhere else. You would spend your entire life running after the spotlight, never having a place to simply sit and be yourself. Instead, the Stoic focuses on the only audience that truly matters, the one within. Did I act with courage? Was I just in my dealings? Did I exercise discipline over my impulses? This inner judge is far more reliable and constant than the fickle cheers or boos of the crowd. This is not about becoming arrogant or dismissive of others. It is about grounding your identity in something unshakable. A carpenter does not seek the praise of the hammer, she seeks to build a sturdy table. In the same way, your focus shifts from seeking praise for your work to the integrity of the work itself. The result is a remarkable kind of freedom. You can accept constructive feedback without feeling personally attacked because your core self is not on trial. You can receive a genuine compliment with grace without becoming dependent on it. Your motivation becomes internal, fueled by your own standards of excellence and virtue, not by the desperate hope that someone will finally notice you. The chase for approval is a hunger that never gets fed, but building an internal foundation is like learning to grow your own food. You are no longer waiting for someone to bring you a meal, you are nourished from within, self-sufficient and serene. This inner sovereignty, this freedom from the applause of others, rests on a foundation of radical acceptance. It requires a fourth Stoic attitude, a deep and practical release of the need to control the world around you. We are so often taught that to be strong is to command, to bend circumstances to our will, but the Stoics saw strength differently. True power lies not in controlling the uncontrollable, but in wisely discerning what is yours to command and what is not. This is the core of the dichotomy of control. Your own mind is your kingdom. Your opinions, your impulses, your desires, and your aversions, these are your subjects. The external world, however, is a vast and untamable wilderness. The weather, the traffic, the opinions of other people, the final outcome of a business deal, these are not your subjects. They operate by their own laws. The source of nearly all our frustration and anxiety is the futile chase to be the emperor of that wilderness, to make the wind blow only when we wish it to. Think of the last time you felt truly stressed. Chances are it was because you were trying to force an outcome that was never fully in your hands. You were stuck in traffic, clenching the steering wheel, as if your anger could clear the road ahead. You were waiting for a reply to an important message, refreshing your email constantly, as if your worry could speed up the server. In that moment, you were at war with reality, and reality always wins. The Stoic response is not passivity. It is not about giving up and doing nothing. It is about redirecting all your energy and intention to the one place where your effort actually matters, your own choices within the situation. You cannot control the traffic, but you can control whether you use that time to listen to an inspiring podcast or to fume in frustration. You cannot control whether you get the job, but you can control how thoroughly you prepare for the interview and how courageously you present yourself. This shift is like a sailor adjusting the sails. A foolish sailor exhausts himself by shouting at the wind, demanding it change direction. A wise sailor accepts the wind as it is and skillfully adjusts his sails to reach his destination anyway. Your intentions, your efforts, your character, these are your sails. The external world is the wind. By releasing the white-knuckle grip on outcomes, you gain a fluid and adaptable power. You stop seeing obstacles as personal insults from the universe and start seeing them as raw material to practice your virtue. A setback becomes a chance to practice patience. An unfair criticism becomes a chance to practice humility and discernment. The person who cut you off in traffic becomes a chance to practice forgiveness. When you stop chasing control over everything, you find you have immense control over the one thing that truly determines the quality of your life, your response. This mental freedom is palpable. The weight of the world lifts from your shoulders because you are no longer trying to carry it. The frustration that once felt like a constant background noise begins to quiet. You engage with life fully, you play the game with all your heart, but you no longer confuse the final score with your own self-worth. The chase for control is a battle you can never win, but releasing that chase is the peace you have been searching for all along. This profound release from needing to control everything reveals a deeper truth about what we should truly value. There is a currency more valuable than any possession, a resource that, once spent, can never be earned back. While most people chase after material wealth, the Stoic quietly invests in this one irreplaceable asset, time. Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Rome, constantly reminded himself of this in his private writings. He wrote that you could lose only the present moment, for that is all you ever have. You cannot lose the past or the future because you do not own them. This reframes our entire existence. The frantic chase for a bigger house or a newer car is a tragic miscalculation if it costs you the very moments of your life. Every hour spent in anxious pursuit of a possession is an hour you will never get back. It is like trading gold for dust. The object you acquire will eventually break, become obsolete, or lose its luster, but the time you sacrificed is gone forever. The Stoic attitude is not one of disdain for material things, but of clear-eyed priority. Things are tools to be used, not treasures to be worshipped. Does this new object serve a purpose that aligns with my growth, my peace, or my duty to others? If not, then the time required to obtain it and maintain it is a poor investment. This perspective forces a radical audit of how you spend your days. Think about the last thing you felt you desperately needed to buy. How many hours of your life, of your focused energy and presence, did you essentially exchange for it? And once you had it, how long did the satisfaction last before your eye wandered to the next desired object, restarting the cycle? This is the endless chase that keeps you running on a treadmill, always moving but never truly arriving. The wise alternative is to invest your time like a master gardener tending a precious plot of land. You plant seeds of knowledge by reading. You cultivate strength of character through disciplined practice. You nurture your relationships with careful attention and presence. These are investments that yield compound returns in tranquility, resilience, and genuine connection. When you choose to spend an evening in deep conversation with a loved one instead of scrolling through shopping sites, you are not being unproductive. You are making the richest possible deposit into your own emotional wealth. When you dedicate an hour to learning a new skill or reflecting on your principles, you are building an inner fortress that no market crash can destroy. This shift from chasing things to cultivating time transforms your experience of life itself. The pressure to acquire relaxes. The moments you inhabit become more vivid and meaningful because you are fully present in them, not mentally absent while fantasizing about a future where you own more. You begin to measure your wealth not by the clutter in your home, but by the clarity in your mind and the depth of your connections. The chase for possessions is a race to fill a void that can only be filled with presence. Choosing to value your time is how you finally become rich in the only way that truly lasts. This inner wealth, built on valuing your time, reveals a surprising secret about true resilience. It is not forged in comfort, but in a deliberate and voluntary encounter with discomfort. The sixth Stoic attitude is a quiet, consistent practice of stepping away from ease and luxury, not as a punishment but as a form of training. The ancient Stoics were not ascetics who hated pleasure. They were realists who understood the fragility of a life built solely on comfort. Seneca, a man of immense wealth, would periodically practice poverty. He would sleep on a hard bed, wear simple clothes, and eat plain food for a few days. He was not trying to prove a point to others, he was proving a vital truth to himself. He was testing his own fortitude, reminding his soul that his happiness was not held hostage by a soft mattress or a gourmet meal. This is the core of voluntary discomfort. It is a small, controlled dose of hardship that inoculates you against the fear of losing your comforts. When you intentionally take a cold shower, you are not just waking up your body. You are having a conversation with your own dependency. You are demonstrating in a tangible way that your well-being can survive and even thrive without perfect warmth. You are breaking the chain that links your mood directly to your physical circumstances. Think of it like a muscle. If you only ever lift light weights the first time you face a real challenge, you will be injured and overwhelmed. But if you consistently train with heavier loads, you build a strength that can handle unexpected burdens with grace. Your comfort zone is that light weight. Voluntary discomfort is the intentional training that prepares you for the inevitable storms of life. When the power goes out, the person who has never known a moment of inconvenience will panic and despair. But the person who has occasionally sat in the dark by choice or gone without a screen for an evening will simply light a candle and find a different kind of peace. This practice fundamentally rewires your relationship with the chase for luxury. The pursuit of the perfect, the easiest, the most luxurious option becomes a hollow game. You no longer see a simple meal as a failure or a downgrade, but as a different and often more mindful experience. You stop running from minor irritations because you have built a confidence that you can handle them. This is not about seeking out pain for its own sake. It is about choosing to prove your own freedom. Every time you walk up the stairs instead of taking the elevator, or choose water over a sugary drink, or sit with a minor boredom instead of immediately distracting yourself, you are casting a vote for your own inner sovereignty. You are declaring through a small action that you are not a slave to your preferences. The chase for constant ease is a trap that makes you soft and fearful. The practice of voluntary discomfort is the key that unlocks a resilient and unshakable confidence, proving that everything you truly need to be content, you already carry within you. This love of fate transforms your entire relationship with action. The seventh Stoic attitude is a profound detachment from specific outcomes, a state where you pour your entire being into a task while holding the result with an open hand. The Stoics called this amor fati, a Latin phrase meaning a love of one's fate. It is not a passive resignation, a shrugging of the shoulders, and a muttered "whatever will be, will be." It is an active, vibrant embrace of every single thing that happens, not in spite of it, but because of it. Imagine a master sculptor standing before a block of marble. She has a vision, a beautiful statue she intends to carve. She applies all her skill, her focus, her passion to the work, But then a flaw in the stone appears, a crack she did not anticipate. The artist who is chasing a specific outcome would despair. Her perfect vision is ruined, but the artist practicing amor fati pauses, observes the new reality of the stone and adapts. She incorporates the flaw into a new, perhaps even more interesting design. The crack becomes a flowing piece of hair, a dramatic shadow. She loves the fate of the flawed stone because it gave her an opportunity to create something uniquely beautiful, something her original plan could never have contained. This is how a Stoic engages with life. You do not merely tolerate setbacks, you welcome them as the necessary raw material for your growth. You love the lost job because it forces a new direction. You love the difficult conversation because it strengthens your courage and honesty. You love the rejection because it refines your path. When you love fate, the desperate energy of chasing one specific success simply evaporates. You are no longer a gambler at the roulette table, betting your entire emotional well-being on a single number coming up. You become the player in a vast and fascinating game, committed to playing your best, but equally curious and accepting of whatever move the universe makes next. Your value is no longer tied to the score at the end of the quarter. It is rooted in the quality of your effort, the integrity of your strategy, and the lessons learned with every single play. This mindset makes you incredibly dangerous in the best possible way. You are no longer afraid to try because failure is not a condemnation, it is just data. You are no longer paralyzed by the need for a guarantee because you have fallen in love with the unpredictable journey itself. The process, the daily practice of showing up with virtue becomes the entire point. The outcome, whether it looks like success or failure from the outside, is simply the next piece of material you get to work with. This inner fortress, this sanctuary of the self, is what the Stoics called the inner citadel. It is not a physical place, but a state of mind so resilient that the chaos of the outside world cannot breach its walls. While others frantically chase after external forms of security, a bigger bank account, a more powerful social circle, the Stoic is quietly building this unassailable stronghold within. Its bricks are not made of money or status, but of your reasoned choices, your cultivated virtues, and your unwavering judgments. Imagine a castle built on a foundation of shifting sand. That is a life dependent on externals. The slightest storm, a market crash, a piece of gossip, can cause the entire structure to collapse into anxiety. But the inner citadel is built upon the bedrock of your own character, a foundation that no external event can erode. The power of this practice lies in its radical self-reliance. You are no longer waiting for the world to be safe or fair to grant you peace. You are generating that peace from the inside, regardless of the weather outside. How do you actually build such a place? It begins with the daily, quiet work of reinforcing your walls. Every time you pause before reacting in anger, you are adding a stone to the rampart of self-discipline. Every time you choose integrity over a quick advantage, you are fortifying the gate of your honor. Every time you remind yourself that an insult only hurts if you accept it, you are strengthening the towers of your reasoned judgment. This citadel is not built in a day, but through countless small, conscious decisions. The result is a profound sense of sovereignty. When you lose a job, it is a practical challenge, yes, but it is not an invasion of your inner peace. Your worth remains intact within the walls. When you face criticism, it may be a nuisance at the gate, but it cannot storm the central keep where your self-respect resides. The desperate chase for external security is revealed for what it is, an attempt to build a moat around a house of cards. True security was never out there to be found. It was always a construction project waiting to happen within you, a project that makes the frantic chase for outside guarantees not just exhausting but entirely redundant. That inner citadel is a profoundly quiet place, and that silence extends to how you move through the world. The ninth attitude is a complete rejection of performative ambition, the desperate need to announce your goals and broadcast your every effort. In a culture that constantly shouts about hustle and demands you build a personal brand, the Stoic chooses a different path, the silence of purposeful action. This is not about being secretive or deceptive. It is about understanding that true progress is an internal event long before it becomes an external one. The energy you spend telling people what you are going to do is energy siphoned away from the actual doing. It is like a farmer who spends all day talking about the magnificent crop he will plant, but never actually tills the soil or drops a single seed. The field remains barren, but his reputation as a future farmer grows. The Stoic, by contrast, is the farmer who is simply seen working in the fields at dawn, quietly, consistently. The growth happens underground, unseen, before anyone ever notices the first green shoot breaking the surface. This quietude is a form of self-protection. When you declare a grand ambition to the world, you immediately invite a chorus of external opinions, doubts, and pressures. You hand over your internal compass to the crowd. The project is no longer just yours. It is now subject to the expectations of everyone who heard your announcement. This creates a phantom pressure that can distort your genuine intentions, making you chase the appearance of progress rather than progress itself. The quiet Stoic is free from that noise. Their only audience is their own conscience. They measure their progress against their own standards of virtue and effort, not against the applause meter of public opinion. Consider two people training for a marathon. One posts daily updates about their grueling workouts, their pace, their diet. They chase the validation of likes and encouraging comments. The other simply runs day after day, telling no one. For the first, a missed day is a public failure, a crack in the image they are projecting. For the second, a missed day is a private data point, a chance to listen to their body and adjust their plan without any shame. The first is chasing an identity as a runner. The second is simply running. This silence allows for a more authentic and resilient form of growth. When no one is watching, you can fail without humiliation. You can experiment without the fear of looking foolish. You can change your mind without it being a public reversal. Your ambition becomes a pure, focused flame, not a scattered bonfire meant to attract attention. The work itself is the reward, and the final outcome, whether it is a success or a lesson, is something you can assess with clear eyes, unclouded by the need to justify your earlier boasts. The world's chase is loud and demands to be seen, but the Stoics' progress is a quiet conversation between their will and their work, a conversation that builds a strength no announcement could ever convey. A difficult conversation is not an interruption to your peace, it is the very material your peace is built from. This is the core of the 10th Stoic attitude, a complete reimagining of what an obstacle truly is. The world teaches us to chase comfort and avoid difficulty at all costs, viewing any hardship as a failure of the plan. The Stoic sees the same hardship and asks a different question entirely. What virtue does this situation invite me to practice? An unfair criticism becomes a gym for your humility and patience. A financial loss becomes a test of your resilience and wisdom. A personal betrayal becomes a profound lesson in forgiveness and the true nature of your own values. The obstacle is no longer a roadblock on your path, it is the path. It is the training ground where your character is forged into something stronger and more capable. This reframe dismantles the entire chase for an easy life. The pursuit of ease is a chase after a phantom, a life so sheltered it becomes brittle and fragile. A ship that never leaves the harbor avoids all storms, but that is not what the ship was built for. You were built for the open sea, for the challenge of the waves and the skill required to navigate them. When you stop seeing difficulty as the enemy and start welcoming it as your most demanding teacher, a fundamental shift occurs. You stop praying for a life without problems and start building a self that can handle any problem. The anxiety of trying to control your external circumstances begins to fade, replaced by a quiet confidence in your own ability to respond with virtue, no matter what the world throws at you. The easy life is a chase that weakens you. The engaged life, the one that meets difficulty with open eyes, is what makes you unbreakable. This constant focus on the present moment is a quiet rebellion against a world obsessed with the future. Our minds are so often somewhere else, chasing the next achievement, the next vacation, the next life stage where we promise ourselves happiness will finally begin. It is a phantom we pursue, always one step ahead, and the chase ensures we are never truly anywhere at all. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the known world, constantly returned to this single idea in his private writings. He reminded himself that the past is a ghost, the future a dream, and the only reality we are given to inhabit is this fleeting, precious present. The Stoic practice of mindful presence is the deliberate act of pulling your consciousness back from that frantic forward chase and planting it firmly in the reality of now. It is not about ignoring the future, but about recognizing that the future is built exclusively with the bricks of the present. When you are mentally absent from the moment you are in, you are not building a better tomorrow, you are building a habit of absence. You are essentially sleepwalking through your own life, waiting for an alarm clock that never goes off. Think about the last time you ate a meal without looking at a screen or took a walk without listening to a podcast. How much of the taste did you actually register? How many of the sights and sounds along your path did you truly see and hear? The chase for future happiness makes the present feel like an inconvenient waiting room, a place to be endured rather than lived. The Stoic asks, what if this waiting room is actually the main event? What if the peace you are chasing is not waiting for you at some distant finish line, but is available right here, in the simple act of feeling your breath, in the weight of your body in the chair, in the quality of the light coming through the window? This is not a complex spiritual exercise. It is the most basic form of reclamation. It begins by noticing the physical world you inhabit in this very second. The feeling of the keyboard under your fingers, the sound of the air conditioner humming, the specific thought moving through your mind, observed without immediate judgment. This practice of anchoring yourself in the sensory details of the now has a profound effect. It starves the anxiety that feeds on future uncertainties and past regrets. You cannot be gripped by a fear of a future presentation while you are fully attending to the flavor of your morning coffee. The two cannot occupy the same mental space. The chase for a better future is a form of mental time travel that robs you of your only true possession. When you stop that chase, you discover that contentment was never a destination to be reached. It is a manner of traveling. It is the quality of attention you bring to the journey itself. The future will come and you will plan for it, but you will not mortgage your present moment for its promise. You will meet it with a mind that is fully formed by 1,000 lived moments, not a mind exhausted from chasing 1,000 more. The quiet focus on the present moment strips away another grand illusion, the chase for a legacy. We are taught to crave a name that echoes through the ages, to build something that will outlive our brief time on this earth. But the Stoics ask a sobering question. What is that echo, really? It is a whisper carried on the wind, entirely dependent on the minds and motives of generations you will never meet. Your reputation after death is the ultimate external, the one thing you have absolutely no control over. To tie your life's meaning to that phantom is to build your home on a foundation of smoke. Marcus Aurelius wrote that even the most celebrated figures are now, for the most part, unknown, and those who remember them will soon be dead themselves. The pyramids still stand, but we have forgotten the names of the thousands who laid each stone. The chase for a legacy is a vanity, a desperate attempt to escape the finality of our own mortality by projecting a shadow of ourselves into a future we can never witness. It is a chase that pulls you out of your own life, forcing you to constantly perform for an audience that does not yet exist. The Stoic alternative is not to live without impact, but to shift your focus from how you will be remembered to how you are living right now. Your legacy is not a monument to be built after you are gone. It is the quality of your character in this very conversation, the integrity of your work on this exact task, the kindness you offer to the person in front of you at this moment. This is where true fulfillment lies, not in the distant hope of future praise, but in the immediate satisfaction of a duty performed with virtue. Think of a teacher who pours energy into every lesson, not so that students will remember her name in 50 years, but because the act of teaching itself, of seeing a concept click in a child's mind, is its own profound reward. Her legacy is not a plaque on a wall, it is the subtle, untraceable influence she has on every life she touches today. Her work is complete in the doing. The pressure to be great in the eyes of history dissolves, replaced by the peaceful, urgent call to be good in the eyes of your own conscience right now. When you release the attachment to how your story will be told, you are finally free to live the story fully, with a presence and purpose that no future biographer could ever capture. There is a quiet dignity in moving through a crowded room without the desperate need to impress anyone. This is the 13th signal, a profound equanimity in social situations. The modern world often feels like a grand stage where we are all performing, trying to win the approval of those we deem important and subtly ignoring those we consider beneath us. This entire performance is a form of chasing, a frantic scramble for social validation that leaves you exhausted and perpetually insecure. The Stoic approach dismantles this theater completely. When you carry a deep and unshakable sense of your own inherent worth, the entire concept of a social hierarchy begins to lose its meaning. You no longer see a room divided into powerful people to be won over and humble people to be overlooked. You simply see other human beings. Your value is not something they can grant or take away, so you are free to engage with everyone from the same steady inner ground. You can speak to a CEO with the same calm respect you offer an intern, not because you are pretending, but because your self-esteem is not on the line in either conversation. You are not there to extract favor or status. You are there to connect, to listen, to share ideas, or to fulfill a duty. This inner stability makes you immune to both flattery and insult. A compliment from an important person is pleasant, but it does not inflate you because your self-assessment does not require their seal of approval. A dismissive glance from the same person is noted, but it does not deflate you because your worth was never up for their review. Think of the last time you were at a party or a networking event. Can you recall the subtle tension of scanning the room, trying to find the most influential person to talk to, or the slight anxiety of being ignored by someone you admired? That tension is the energy of the chase. Now imagine walking into that same room with a different premise, the quiet certainty that you are there to be fully yourself, to offer your genuine attention and to take nothing personally. The pressure evaporates. Your conversations become more authentic because you are not performing. You can ask curious questions without an agenda. You can listen deeply without mentally rehearsing what you will say next. This is not social aloofness, it is social freedom. You are no longer an actor auditioning for a role in someone else's story. You are the author of your own presence, engaging with others from a place of wholeness, not lack. The chase for social standing is a game of mirrors where you are constantly adjusting your reflection based on who is looking at you. The Stoic alternative is to be the one solid, real thing in the room, a person of substance who needs no reflection to know they exist. There is a deep and lasting joy found not in adding more, but in the deliberate act of taking things away. The relentless chase for more complex pleasures, for the next exotic vacation or the latest technological marvel, often leaves us feeling overstimulated yet strangely empty. It is a feast of rich food that never truly satisfies the hunger. The Stoics proposed a different path, one of finding profound satisfaction in the clean, clear space of a simple life. This is not about austerity for its own sake, but about clearing away the mental and physical clutter that obscures the fundamental joys already present in our existence. Think of a room crammed with furniture, knick-knacks on every surface, and walls covered in busy art. Your eye has nowhere to rest, your mind feels the chaos. Now imagine removing almost everything, leaving only a few cherished functional pieces. The space suddenly feels calm, expansive, and peaceful. You can finally breathe. Simplifying your life works in exactly the same way on your consciousness. When you strip away the constant need for novelty and complexity, you create room to notice the quiet miracles you were too busy to see before. The precise flavor of a piece of fresh fruit becomes a small event. The warmth of sunlight on your skin is a genuine pleasure. A conversation with a friend without the distraction of a phone becomes a rich and meaningful connection. These are not lesser joys, they are the foundational ones, the ones that form the bedrock of a contented life. The chase for complex pleasures is like trying to hear a single, beautiful note by attending a deafening rock concert. The Stoic practice of simplicity is about walking into a quiet forest where you can finally hear the subtle melody of the wind in the leaves and the song of a single bird. It is a return to the essential, a conscious choice to find wealth in what is readily available rather than in what must be tirelessly pursued. This simplicity clears the mind, allowing you to focus your energy on what truly matters: your character, your relationships, your purpose. The joy is not in the absence of things, but in the profound presence you can now bring to the life you already have. Everything you are chasing is already vanishing. The new car will rust, the promotion will be forgotten, and the body you strive to perfect will one day return to the earth. This is not a morbid thought, but a liberating one. The 15th Stoic attitude is the deep and serene acceptance of impermanence, a practice known as memento mori, a Latin phrase that translates to remember you must die. This is not a fixation on death, but a meditation on life itself, a tool to sharpen your focus on what is truly essential. When you internalize that every single thing you pursue, every object you acquire, and every title you hold is temporary, the frantic energy of the chase begins to dissipate. Why exhaust yourself running after a sandcastle that the next wave will inevitably wash away? The Stoics were not trying to make us sad about this reality, they were trying to wake us up to it. Seneca wrote that we suffer more in imagination than in reality, and much of that suffering comes from our desperate attempts to hold onto what is inherently fleeting. We clutch at relationships, jobs, and possessions as if they were permanent, and the fear of losing them becomes a constant source of anxiety. The practice of memento mori is the gentle but firm act of opening your hand. It is the daily, quiet acknowledgement that this moment, this feeling, this circumstance is already passing. This acceptance does not lead to apathy, but to a more vibrant and precious engagement with the present. If you knew this was the last time you would see a loved one, how would you speak to them? You would be fully present, listening with your whole being, your words chosen with care and kindness. The Stoic asks, why wait for that final moment to live with that level of intensity and appreciation? Contemplating impermanence scalps away the trivial. The sting of a minor social slight loses its power when held against the vast backdrop of a finite life. The desperate urge to acquire the latest status symbol seems laughable when you realize the symbol and the status will both turn to dust. You stop chasing the temporary highs of external validation because you know they are just that, temporary. Your focus shifts inward to the cultivation of virtues that do not rust or fade: courage, justice, wisdom, and discipline. These are the only possessions you can truly carry with you to the end. This mindset transforms loss from a catastrophe into a natural part of the flow. The loss of a job is not the end of your story, but the closing of a chapter you knew was always finite. The end of a relationship, while painful, is accepted as part of the beautiful, tragic, and impermanent dance of human connection. You grieve, of course, but you do not rage against the fundamental laws of existence. You understand that to love anything in this world is to love something that you will one day have to release. This acceptance is the ultimate freedom from the chase. It allows you to enjoy the beautiful things in life without the desperate need to own them forever. You can admire a magnificent sunset without needing to photograph it, knowing its fleeting nature is the very source of its beauty. You can enjoy a fine meal without lamenting that it will soon be over. You are free to participate fully in the flow of life, not as a collector trying to dam the river, but as a swimmer who appreciates every current, knowing that the journey itself is the only permanent home you will ever have. The chase ends when you stop glancing sideways. Our culture is built on comparison, a relentless measurement of our lives against the curated highlights of everyone else. This constant benchmarking is a race with no finish line because there will always be someone with a slightly better car, a more exotic vacation, or a more impressive job title. The 16th Stoic attitude is a radical withdrawal from this entire competition. It is the commitment to judge yourself by an internal standard, a moral compass calibrated not by the world's applause, but by your own virtues and principles. Imagine two gardeners. One is constantly peering over the fence, obsessing over his neighbor's taller sunflowers and greener grass. He chases after every new fertilizer and watering technique they use, his own satisfaction rising and falling with the perceived state of their garden. The other gardener keeps his eyes on his own soil. He learns its unique needs, he weeds diligently, and he takes quiet pride in the health of each plant he has nurtured. His joy is intrinsic, found in the work itself and the slow, steady growth he fosters. The Stoic is the second gardener. Your worth is not a relative value, something that goes up when you surpass one person and down when another surpasses you. That is the exhausting logic of the stock market applied to the human soul. Instead, your value is an absolute determined by the quality of your character. Did you act with honesty today, even when no one was watching? Did you meet frustration with patience? Did you extend kindness without expectation of return? These are the questions that matter. The chase to keep up with the Joneses is a trap because the Joneses are a moving target, and their standards may be completely misaligned with your own. What if their beautiful life is built on debt, stress, and moral compromise? Chasing their shadow would mean sacrificing your own integrity for a prize you never truly wanted. When your compass is internal, you are freed from this phantom race. You can admire someone else's success without feeling it diminishes your own. You can see their new possession and feel genuine happiness for them without the gnawing urge to acquire the same thing. Your sense of accomplishment comes from knowing you lived up to your own code, not from having more than someone else. This internal court is far more demanding and far more rewarding than the fickle court of public opinion. It asks not, was I better than him, but was I better today than I was yesterday? The only person you are truly competing with is the person you were a moment ago. This focus builds a profound and unshakable self-respect that no external comparison can ever touch. Your words hold more power when they are not immediately spent. The 17th Stoic attitude is the cultivation of a reserved response, a deliberate pause between an external event and your internal reaction. This is the practical application of the Stoic discipline of assent, a mental checkpoint where you decide what you will agree to and what you will let pass. In that small, quiet space between a provocation and your reply, you dismantle the entire mechanism of impulsive chasing. Without this pause, you are a puppet and your emotions pull the strings. A piece of gossip arrives and you immediately chase the dramatic thrill of sharing it. Someone offers a cutting remark and you chase the fleeting satisfaction of a sharp retort. An advertisement flashes and you chase the momentary high of a new purchase. These are all forms of chasing, driven by an unexamined impulse. The reserved response is your declaration of independence from that cycle. It is the moment you take back the reins. Imagine your mind as a courtroom. An external event, like an insult, enters as a piece of evidence. The undisciplined mind immediately bangs the gavel, declaring it a truth and sentencing itself to anger. The Stoic mind, however, calls for a recess. It examines the evidence. Is this insult actually true? And even if it contains a grain of truth, is it useful to my character to accept it and react with fury? Is the person who said it a credible source, or are they merely projecting their own pain? By withholding your immediate assent, you stop the chain reaction before it begins. You are no longer chasing the emotional payoff of a quick reaction. Instead, you are pursuing the deeper, more lasting reward of self-mastery. This does not mean you become a passive doormat. Quite the opposite, a reserved response allows for a far more powerful and effective action. When you are not emotionally hijacked, you can choose a response that aligns with your principles. You can address the real issue behind the insult with clarity, or you can calmly dismiss a baseless comment as the noise it is. Your words carry weight because they are chosen, not simply triggered. This practice extends to every temptation. The desire for a new gadget arises. Instead of chasing the impulse to buy it immediately, you pause. You ask yourself if this purchase serves a rational purpose or is merely an attempt to fill an emotional void. That moment of hesitation is often all it takes for the impulsive energy to dissipate, revealing the quiet truth of what you actually need. The world encourages us to be fast, reactive, and loud. The Stoic finds a profound strength in being slow, considered, and quiet. The chase after immediate emotional gratification is a race you can never win because the finish line always moves. But the practice of a reserved response is like coming to a complete stop, looking at the map of your own character and choosing the direction that leads to lasting peace. Gratitude is the quiet antidote to the roar of wanting more. While the world trains you to focus on the next prize, the Stoics turn this habit on its head, not as a feel-good exercise, but as a rigorous mental discipline for contentment. They practiced seeing every single day as a gift and every basic function of life as a reason for thanks. Waking up with a mind that can reason, a body that can move, the simple fact of another sunrise, these are not small things. They are the fundamental conditions of existence, and to treat them as ordinary is to miss the miracle of being alive. This practice is not about ignoring life's difficulties. It is about building a foundation of appreciation so solid that the difficulties cannot shake your core peace. When you start your day by mentally listing a few things you are grateful for, you are performing a quiet audit of your true wealth. You are not counting what is missing from your life, you are inventorying the abundance that is already there. This daily ritual actively crowds out the space where desperate chasing breeds. How can you feel a burning lack for a newer car when you are genuinely thankful that your current one starts reliably and gets you where you need to go? How can you ache for a more prestigious job title when you feel a deep gratitude for the work that pays your bills and the colleagues who support you? The desire for what you lack cannot easily coexist with a profound appreciation for what you possess. They are two different residents vying for the same mental space, and gratitude is the more powerful tenant. It does not mean you stop striving for improvement. It means your striving comes from a place of fullness, not emptiness. You are not running from a life you hate, but building upon a life you already value. This shift is everything. The chaser is always hungry, always feeling behind. The grateful person is already rich, and any progress is a bonus. This attitude was a practical tool for the Stoics. Epictetus, who had been a slave, reminded his students to not seek to have events happen as you want, but to want events to happen as they do happen. This includes wanting the present moment with all its imperfections, simply because it is the one you have been given. When you stub your toe instead of cursing your fate, you can feel a flicker of gratitude that you have a foot to stub and a nervous system that signals pain, a sign you are alive. When a project at work becomes frustratingly difficult, you can be thankful for the mental challenge that is stretching your abilities. This reframing is a form of alchemy. It transforms the lead of ordinary life into the gold of a meaningful existence. The frantic chase for more is an attempt to fill a void that gratitude has already filled. You stop looking for a reason to be happy in the future, and you start finding reasons to be content in the undeniable, tangible reality of the present. A life spent taking is a life measured in scarcity, always fearing what might be lost. The 19th Stoic attitude turns this entire equation on its head, shifting the fundamental question from what can I get to what can I give. This is not a call for shallow altruism, but a profound psychological realignment where your sense of purpose and fulfillment is tied to your contribution, not your acquisitions. The frantic chase for personal gain is at its core a lonely and insatiable pursuit. No matter how much you accumulate, the fear of losing it or the sight of someone with more will always whisper that it is not enough. Your peace becomes a fragile thing, dependent on protecting your hoard. But when you dedicate your energy to service, to adding value to your community and the lives of others, you step onto entirely different ground. Your worth is no longer a number in an account, but a living force in the world. Think of two farmers with adjacent fields. One farmer's entire focus is on the harvest he can take for himself, guarding his crops and measuring his success solely by the weight of his own grain silo. The other farmer is focused on improving the soil, sharing seeds with neighbors, and ensuring the entire valley becomes more fertile. The first lives in a state of constant anxiety over pests and weather. The second finds satisfaction in every healthy plant that grows, whether in his field or another's. His legacy is not a stockpile, but the enduring fertility he helped create. The Stoic sees the human community in the same way. Your rational mind is not a tool for personal enrichment alone. It is a faculty meant for the common good. To use it solely for yourself is to misuse a sacred instrument. This focus on contribution makes the selfish chase feel not just pointless but childish. Why exhaust yourself running after another trophy for your shelf when you could be using that same energy to help someone build a better life? The reward is entirely different. The thrill of a new purchase fades quickly, but the quiet satisfaction of knowing you made a difficult situation easier for another person, or that you offered counsel that brought clarity, or that you simply listened with your full attention, that satisfaction endures. It becomes a part of your character, a brick in your inner citadel. You are building a self that is valuable because it gives value, and that is a form of wealth no market crash can ever erase. The chase for personal gain is a race run in a small, confining circle. A life of contribution opens onto a wide horizon where your actions create ripples of meaning that extend far beyond your own fleeting desires. There is a deep freedom in being nobody special. While the modern world screams for visibility, begging you to build a personal brand and become an influencer, the Stoic finds a quiet liberation in the shadows. This is the 20th attitude, a conscious embrace of anonymity. It is not a retreat born from fear or failure, but a strategic withdrawal from a game whose prizes are ultimately hollow. The desperate chase for recognition forces you to contort yourself into whatever shape the crowd currently applauds. Your every action becomes a performance, your every opinion a carefully calculated soundbite designed for maximum engagement. Your peace is traded for likes, and your integrity is slowly eroded by the need to remain relevant. To be anonymous is to be unshackled from all of that. When no one is watching, you are free to act from your deepest values, not from a script written by public expectation. Think of a tree growing in a dense, forgotten part of the forest. It does not grow for an audience. Its growth is not stunted by the lack of applause, nor is it exaggerated by the need for attention. It simply becomes what it is, strong, resilient, and entirely authentic, shaped by the sun and the soil, not by the opinions of passing hikers. The Stoic seeks to be that tree. Your work, your character, your quiet contributions to your immediate circle, these are what matter. The need for public credit is a leash that pulls you away from your own core. It makes you dependent on an external validation that is as reliable as the weather. Anonymity, by contrast, is the condition for pure action. You help a stranger because it is the right thing to do, not because you can post about it. You pursue a craft for the love of the work itself, not for the potential fame it might bring. This is where your actions become truly your own, untainted by the desire for a payoff in social currency. The modern chase for visibility is a bargain that trades your inner sovereignty for a spotlight that will inevitably move on. Choosing to be comfortably unknown is how you reclaim your soul, finding a profound and unadvertised peace in the simple, unobserved dignity of your own life. Desire is the engine of the chase. It is the restless feeling that whispers you are incomplete until you possess something just out of reach. The 21st Stoic attitude is the discipline of desire itself, a radical practice of taking that engine apart, understanding its mechanics, and reassembling it to serve your peace, not your restlessness. This is not about suppressing what you want, but about interrogating it. Every desire that arises is a potential master, and the undisciplined mind becomes a servant to 1,000 conflicting commands. I want that promotion, I want that praise, I want to avoid that difficult conversation. Each of these wants pulls you in a different direction, scattering your energy and holding your tranquility for ransom. The Stoic asks a simple, piercing question of every desire. Is this within my control, and does pursuing it align with my nature as a rational, social being? If the answer is no, then that desire is a trap. It is a leash that someone or something else can pull. The discipline is to gently, firmly release the leash. This is not a one-time event, but a moment-by-moment practice. The advertisement shows you a sleek new device, and the want ignites. The disciplined mind pauses. Do I need this, or am I merely craving the temporary feeling of novelty? Will this object contribute to my virtue, or will it simply become another thing to maintain, worry about, and eventually replace? By curating your desires, you are not building a wall against the world. You are installing a filter on your own mind. You are deciding what gets to influence you, what gets to set the agenda for your precious energy and attention. A desire for a bigger house, when examined, might reveal itself as a desire for status or security, neither of which a house can truly provide, but a desire to be a more patient parent, or a more skilled craftsman, or a more reliable friend. These are desires aligned with your nature. They are about the quality of your own character and actions, things entirely within your command. Chasing these desires does not feel like a frantic race, it feels like a purposeful walk. The discipline of desire is the ultimate act of self-defense. It is how you protect your inner citadel from the endless siege of wants manufactured by a culture of consumption. When you stop wanting what you do not need, you discover a profound truth. You were never chasing the object itself, you were chasing the peace you believed it would bring. And that peace was inside you all along, waiting for the noise of desire to quiet down so you could finally hear it. Your own reflection is the only valid measure of your progress. This inward focus dissolves the exhausting need to compete with anyone else, but it also reshapes your view of the people around you. The 22nd Stoic attitude is a radical act of leveling the entire human playing field. It is the practice of seeing every single person you meet as your equal, a fellow participant in the shared journey of reason. The Stoics called this the concept of common humanity. Every human being, from the most powerful CEO to the person serving your coffee, possesses the same fundamental spark, a fragment of the same divine reason or logos. This is not a sentimental idea, but a philosophical fact that dismantles the very architecture of social competition. When you truly internalize this, the desperate chase to feel superior to some and inferior to others simply loses its meaning. You are all students in the same school, just at different lessons. There is no hierarchy in the curriculum of life, only different assignments. The person you envy for their wealth may be struggling with a lesson in loneliness that you have already mastered. The person you look down upon for their humble job may be a master of contentment, a subject you are still failing. This perspective erases jealousy at its root. Why would you be jealous of someone who is essentially you, just wearing a different costume and facing a different set of challenges? Their external advantages are not a measure of their worth, just as your external disadvantages are not a measure of yours. The only thing that truly matters is how each of you uses your share of reason to navigate your particular circumstances. This fosters a profound sense of kinship. Instead of seeing a rival in a successful colleague, you see a companion on the path. You can celebrate their achievement as you would celebrate a classmate's graduation, knowing their success does not diminish your own capacity to learn and grow. The need to prove you are better than someone, to chase that fleeting feeling of superiority, is exposed as a childish game. It is like one wave in the ocean trying to prove it is wetter than the wave next to it. They are both made of the same water, part of the same vast ocean, rising and falling by the same forces. When you see others as equals, your interactions become cleaner and more genuine. You are not maneuvering for position or seeking to dominate. You are engaging with another rational being, and your goal shifts from winning their admiration to exchanging value, whether that is a simple kindness, a shared idea, or a moment of honest connection. The chase for status is a race run on a track that does not actually exist. Seeing our common humanity is the moment you step off that illusory track and find yourself standing on solid ground, finally able to see the people around you not as competitors but as fellow travelers. There is a special kind of courage in allowing others to get you wrong. The 23rd Stoic attitude is this quiet strength, the willingness to be misunderstood without needing to launch a campaign to correct the record. This is not about stubbornness or a refusal to listen, but about the profound inner security required to hold your ground when your principles are unpopular or your choices seem foolish to the crowd. The desperate chase for social conformity is a plea to be seen, to be validated, to be accepted as part of the tribe. It is a powerful force because the fear of being ostracized is wired deep into our biology. To stand against that tide requires a different kind of wiring, one built on the unshakable conviction that your integrity is more valuable than any group's approval. Think of a time you remained silent when a joke at someone's expense swept through a conversation. The easy, chasing path is to laugh along, to seek the warmth of belonging. The more difficult Stoic path is to withhold that laugh, to risk the cold stares of confusion or even mockery for not joining in. In that moment, you are being misunderstood. You are being seen as too serious, too sensitive, not a team player. The chase for popularity would have you betray your own sense of decency for a moment of social ease. But when you choose integrity, you are making a declaration that your own self-respect is the only team that truly matters. This courage extends to the larger choices of your life. Perhaps you choose a simpler, less prestigious career path because it aligns with your values, and you face the puzzled looks from family who cannot understand why you are not chasing a bigger title. Or you speak a difficult truth in a meeting, knowing it will not be well received because your commitment to honesty outweighs your desire to be seen as agreeable. In each case, you are trading the immediate reward of social validation for the lasting reward of self-trust. The opinions of others become like weather passing over a mountain. The mountain does not chase the sun or argue with the storm. It simply stands grounded in its own massive reality. When you stop needing everyone to understand your reasons, you are free to act on them with a clarity that is impossible when you are constantly looking over your shoulder for approval. Your energy is no longer drained by the exhausting work of managing perceptions and crafting explanations. It is channeled entirely into the work of living by your code. The person who is always chasing understanding is always negotiating, always performing, always adjusting. The person who has made peace with being misunderstood is finally, fully, and authentically at home within themselves. Wealth is not a number in an account, but a quiet space in your mind. The 24th Stoic attitude turns our entire cultural definition of success on its head by finding riches in the deliberate act of wanting less. This is the ultimate paradox that the person who desires very little is, in a profound sense, the wealthiest person alive. The frantic chase for financial and material accumulation is built on a simple but flawed premise that happiness is a destination you reach by acquiring enough things. But this is a mathematical error of the soul. No matter how much you add to the pile, the feeling of enough is an internal switch, not an external milestone. The chaser keeps adding, hoping the next item will finally flip that switch, but it never does because the switch was inside them all along. The Stoic simply walks over and flips it. Think of two people standing before a vast, beautiful lake. One is desperately thirsty but believes the water is poison. They own the entire lake, yet they are dying of thirst. The other person has only a single cup, but they understand the water is safe to drink. They dip their cup, drink deeply, and are satisfied. The lake is the world of potential possessions. The thirst is the desire for security and status. The first person, the chaser, owns the lake but cannot quench their thirst because their judgment about the water is wrong. They believe they need to own more and more of the lake to feel secure. The second person, the Stoic, with their simple cup, has everything they need because their judgment is correct. They know that a small, clean amount is sufficient, and that owning the entire lake would only bring the burden of maintenance and the fear of loss. This is the internal shift. Your wealth is not measured by the lake you possess, but by the smallness of your cup. When you want less, you are instantly richer because nearly everything you encounter feels like an abundance. The simple meal before you is a feast. The modest home you inhabit is a castle. The reliable, ordinary job is a blessing. The chase for more is a form of self-imposed poverty, a state of constantly feeling you have less than you need. The decision to want less is the moment you inherit a fortune you never knew you had. This redefines success completely. Success is no longer an upward trajectory of acquisitions, but a downward curve of needs. It is the quiet mastery over your own desires. The successful person is not the one with the most toys, but the one who is least troubled by the need for any toys at all. This does not mean you live in squalor or reject all comfort. It means you see material things for what they are, tools that can be used well or poorly. A larger house is just a tool for shelter and hosting. If your current tool serves that purpose adequately, the desperate energy required to obtain a slightly better one is a poor investment of your life. The freedom this brings is palpable. You are no longer a slave to the market, to trends, or to the judgment of others who measure worth by possessions. Your sense of accomplishment comes from the calmness of your mind and the integrity of your character, things that no recession can devalue and no thief can steal. The perpetual chase for financial accumulation is a race run on a treadmill, convincing you that forward motion is progress when you are actually just staying in the same anxious place. Stepping off that treadmill is not giving up. It is the moment you finally arrive at a prosperity so deep and so quiet, it makes the noise of the chase seem like the true poverty. This final attitude is the quietest of them all, the one that makes all the others possible. It is the serene acceptance of what is, not a passive resignation, but a deep, active embrace of reality exactly as you find it in this moment. This is the ultimate release, the final surrender that dissolves the very impulse to chase. Every chase, whether for a possession, a status, or a different life, is a form of argument with reality. It is you saying, this present moment is not enough, my current circumstances are wrong, and I must escape them to find peace. Acceptance ends that argument. It is the moment you lower your weapon and stop fighting the world. You stop trying to force life to be something it is not, and instead you begin to work with the raw material it has given you. Your current situation, with all its flaws and limitations, is not a prison. It is your workshop. It is the exact set of conditions you need to practice your virtue right now. The traffic jam is not an enemy to be defeated. It is an opportunity to practice patience. The difficult colleague is not a problem to be eliminated, but a chance to cultivate understanding and firm boundaries. The financial constraint is not a curse, but a teacher of creativity and wisdom. Acceptance does not mean you approve of everything that happens. It means you stop wasting your energy on the futile wish that it were otherwise. You acknowledge the rain is falling, and then you put on your coat rather than standing there getting soaked while you shout at the clouds. This is the profound shift. Your life is no longer on hold, waiting for the perfect conditions to begin. Your life is happening now in this imperfect, messy, and beautiful present. The serenity comes from knowing that you have everything you need to be virtuous, to be fully human in this very second. The external circumstances are just the setting, the props on the stage. Your character, your response, your virtue, that is the play itself. When you fully accept what is, the frantic energy you once spent on chasing a better future or lamenting a different past is suddenly returned to you. That energy becomes available for living. You can finally engage with life on its own terms with a clear mind and an open heart. You are no longer a ghost haunting the edges of your own existence, always chasing a phantom version of yourself in a different time and place. You are here, fully inhabiting the only moment you will ever truly own. This is the final freedom, the one that makes all other freedoms possible. The chase ends not with a final acquisition, but with a simple, quiet release, and in that release, you find that everything you were ever chasing was already here, waiting for you to stop running. Each of these 25 attitudes is not a separate rule, but a single thread in a tapestry of profound inner freedom. They weave together into a coherent philosophy of life, a mental operating system designed to be immune to the anxieties of chasing. When you stop chasing specific outcomes, you find the power to act with virtue in any circumstance. When you stop chasing external validation, you unlock an authentic self-worth that no opinion can shake. The frantic pursuit of more possessions, more status, and more control is replaced by a deep cultivation of your inner resources, a quiet investment in the only things that are truly and lastingly yours. This is not a life of withdrawal, but one of richer, more purposeful engagement. You are no longer a leaf blown by the winds of circumstance, desperate for the next gust to take you somewhere better. You become the tree, deeply rooted in your own principles, able to withstand any storm because your strength comes from within. You trade the exhausting performance of ambition for the quiet dignity of meaningful action. You exchange the fear of loss for a serene acceptance of life's natural flow. The final result is not a specific achievement, but a quality of being, a life lived with greater purpose, profound peace, and a power that is authentic because it flows from your character, not your circumstances. We would love to hear which one of these quiet Stoic signals resonates most deeply with your own journey. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you are ready to go deeper, subscribe for more explorations into the wisdom that can set you free.